was Christmas time and everyone's kind of in the holiday mood. And in radio, you're just kind of doing holiday programming and just waiting for Christmas. And all of a sudden, this story drops.
This is Ag Day.
Topping our news today, a Washington State cow that has tested positive for BSE.
The local farm broadcaster sets the tone on a story like that, I think. But in my mind, I'm thinking, this is a powder keg that could go off.
For me, it unfolded in a phone call from Reuters. It was Christmas Eve, 2003, Hong Kong time.
That is a nightmare. I still remember the day I turned on the news. I was not aware exactly what the disease is.
BSE is a progressive degenerative disease that can affect the central nervous system of adult cattle.
You know, BSE was certainly not unknown to other countries. It was just new to us.
It had been a big UK thing. That's when they realized, like, this can transfer over to humans. If you eat this beef, you can get this. So that really, scared everyone.
The market impact was instantaneous. We lost all our customers, beef customers, instantaneously. It was over.
This case of mad cow disease could cost the United States cattle industry $2 billion, and now consumers are staying away from all beef.
This was a political issue, period. People that were working with US beef, they knew this, but they were powerless because their government dictated what was going to happen.
The importers trusted us, and they knew that American beef was safe, but they had no one to sell to, no one would buy it.
They just bought more beef from Australia, New Zealand, any country that was BSE free.
We had a huge task at that point, restoring consumer confidence.
The U.S. Meat Export Federation, working to put U.S. beef back on the world's table.
Time did heal things, but there was a lot of effort put into building that confidence back up.
Mexico was the first market to reopen, which would have been, I believe, in early March of the following year. And one of the reasons that it did reopen as quickly as it did is because we had the office and the presence in the Mexican market. And the relationship MEF had with Mexican government officials, particularly in agriculture, where we just continued to show the science, show the science, show the science.
When you go through something like BSE or any other trade issue, it's extremely important to have relationships with countries that are willing to step forward, be the first to step forward to make things happen so that you can point to that success to try to open up other markets.
During that time, we started to help to engage some of the countries that was not very active, and we start to do more, especially with local US Embassy, to eliminate whatever import barrier that we have. Why? Because the beef that is on the water to the whole of Asia need to look for a home, and everything is all going to the Philippines. That was the only country besides Singapore that were open to US beef. This is where the first place where we start to introduce more on the shop plate. That was not the attention seeker, but it has become so well received. We really enjoy such a good market price, I still remember.
This was an important part of the reintroduction of US beef into all the Asian markets. Because in the very beginning, we had no allies to work with, particularly Korea.
Well, Korea is a very unique situation because it is very politicized.
We had seminars attacked in Korea by domestic farmers.
The interest group started to disseminate the wrong information about the US beef, and that made the very young students and the moms with the baby to really worry about the safety of US beef. And protest starts around May 2008, and it lasts more than 100 days.
I walked through the candlelight demo on its worst day when there were 1 million people on the street. It was terrible.
It was fortunate for us while we don't have beef in the market, but we continue to export pork in Korean market.
The demand for that was good because it's it was very cost effective. We have a high quality product. We were getting a lot of very high-end pork cuts into Japan because of that. So we'd have tenderloins and loins. So the consumers were pretty happy with that. In December 2005, the Japanese market reopened to US beef and everybody was a little leery.
We tried to regain that trust from consumers. So we started the We Care campaign.
The goal was to show at every step of our supply chain, we care about our customers. We had to go back to a lot of like tasting demonstrations. There was news truck after news truck after news truck. And I think they were expecting that the Japanese consumers weren't going to eat it. But the totally opposite happened. And then things started to really take off.
They needed the US product in order to satisfy their customers, because obviously there's a world of difference between grain-fed versus grass-fed.
Word of mouth is the best tool back then. So people came to think maybe I don't need to worry about the safety.
Things did, of course, get better by the end of the decade. It was booming again, but the 2000s were difficult for the beef industry.
BSE was a pivotal event in our industry.
When I look back, I think, wow, we were just learning so much and doing it on the fly, quite frankly. And I appreciated MEF letting me have a better perspective on that, because it helped me tell that story better to my audience.